Imagine waking up one morning with a fire in your chest, a sense of purpose so clear that nothing can shake it. You feel unstoppable, unbreakable, and deeply alive. That energy, that power, is what we often call motivation. Yet, for most of us, it feels fleeting. We wake up with good intentions, but by midday, distractions, doubts, and excuses begin to chip away at our determination. We tell ourselves we'll start tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes. But here's the truth: motivation doesn't need to be a rare lightning strike. It can be cultivated, strengthened, and sustained. And few philosophies in history have understood this better than Stoicism. The Stoics, ancient thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, didn't just talk about wisdom, they lived it. They endured hardships, political chaos, exile, and even slavery, yet still built lives of discipline, clarity, and profound strength. They mastered the art of moving forward when everything seemed stacked against them. Today, we're going to uncover 1 Stoic lessons to awaken your motivation, not in short bursts that fade after a motivational video, but in ways that anchor deep inside you, guiding how you think, act, and rise in every moment of your life. These lessons will not just inspire you temporarily. They will equip you with tools to reshape your daily existence. Before we dive into these powerful teachings, I want you to pause for a moment and think about something. Why are you here right now, listening to this? Maybe you're tired of procrastination. Maybe you feel stuck, trapped in routines that drain your energy. Or maybe you want to build habits that will finally push you closer to the life you dream of. Whatever the reason, you're here because something inside you refuses to settle. And that spark, however small it may feel right now, is everything you need to begin. But here's the thing: knowledge without action is wasted potential. These Stoic lessons will give you the clarity and fire, but you are the one who must put them into motion. Motivation is not about waiting to feel ready. It's about choosing to act, even when you don't feel like it. And that's exactly why I want to ask you something important before we move on. If you're serious about transforming your mindset, don't just passively watch. Take a step now. Subscribe to this channel, because every single week you'll get powerful insights designed to strengthen your discipline, your clarity, and your ability to rise above the noise. Hit that notification bell, not for me, but for yourself, for the commitment you're making right now to become more than who you were yesterday. And if something resonates with you as we go through these lessons, don't just keep it to yourself. Drop a comment and share how it connects with your journey. Because when you put your thoughts into words, you're not just reminding yourself, you're inspiring someone else who's fighting the same battles in silence. Now, as we prepare to step into the first Stoic lesson, I want you to imagine this. The Stoics lived in times far harsher than ours. Life expectancy was shorter. Wars and plagues were common. Comfort was rare. And yet, they didn't allow circumstances to dictate their spirit. They discovered that real motivation comes not from what's outside of us, but from the strength we cultivate within. That's the journey we're about to embark on together. We'll peel back the wisdom of the Stoics, translate it into today's world, and use it to unlock a motivation that doesn't fade when life gets tough, but instead grows stronger. By the end, you'll see that motivation isn't about hyper bursts of adrenaline. It's about clarity, resilience, and the courage to take the next step, no matter how heavy it feels. So take a deep breath. Center yourself. And let's step into the first of these 10 Stoic lessons that will awaken the motivation already waiting inside of you. The first lesson the Stoics teach us is the power of controlling what lies within our reach and letting go of what does not. Epictetus, who was once a slave, understood this truth deeply. The world is filled with things we cannot control: other people's opinions, the weather, the economy, even the outcomes of our actions. Yet, within this storm of unpredictability, there is one domain that belongs entirely to us: our thoughts, our choices, and our responses. Think about how often our motivation dies because we become obsessed with results we can't guarantee. You study for an exam, but fear the grade. You start a business, but fear the market. You give love, but fear rejection. Every time your energy attaches itself to things beyond your control, your motivation gets drained because your mind is living in a place it can never command. The Stoic wisdom is simple. Focus your energy only on what you can influence. Instead of asking, "Will I succeed?" ask, "What can I do right now in this moment with full effort and clarity?" Motivation grows when your mind is not scattered across 1,000 uncontrollable outcomes. It grows when you anchor yourself in action. You wake up and commit. I can't control how others respond, but I can control how hard I work. I can't control the future, but I can control how I use this hour. That shift, though small, transforms hesitation into progress. Because every step you take builds momentum, and momentum is the real fuel of motivation. Now, you may wonder, doesn't this mean lowering expectations, giving up on big dreams? Not at all. It means separating the dream from the obsession with results. Dream big, but act with calm focus, knowing the dream is a direction, not a guarantee. That freedom, accepting what is beyond your command while mastering what is within, unlocks energy you didn't know you had. The second Stoic lesson is to embrace discomfort as a teacher, not an enemy. Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." He meant that fear of discomfort often paralyzes us more than discomfort itself. When you avoid hard things, when you always seek the easier path, your motivation weakens. Because deep down, you know you're running from life instead of rising to meet it. Take a simple example. Waking up early to work on your goals. The mind whispers excuses. It's too cold. I'm too tired. I'll start tomorrow. But the Stoic approach is different. Instead of resisting the discomfort, you lean into it. You remind yourself, this pain is temporary, but the strength I gain from overcoming it is permanent. Every moment of discomfort becomes a gym for the soul. Cold showers, fasting, rigorous training, or simply pushing through boredom, these practices teach you that discomfort cannot break you. It becomes a signal that you are alive, growing, and moving toward your best self. Think about it. Every story of greatness is a story of discomfort embraced. Marcus Aurelius, as emperor, carried the weight of an entire empire on his shoulders. He wrote his meditations not in times of luxury, but in the midst of wars, plagues, and betrayal. Yet he found strength not by seeking comfort, but by meeting discomfort head-on, seeing it as fuel for his spirit. Motivation dies when we chase comfort, because comfort teaches us nothing. But when you make discomfort your ally, you awaken a force inside you that no obstacle can silence. Imagine waking up tomorrow and saying, "I will not run from what is hard. I will seek it, because it is the path to strength." That shift alone can awaken a motivation far deeper than any external reward. The third lesson flows naturally from the second. Live by principles, not moods. Moods are unreliable. One day you feel inspired, the next you don't. One morning you're full of energy. By evening you're drained. If your motivation depends on moods, you'll never be consistent. But the Stoics remind us, principles are stronger than moods. Principles are chosen values that guide your actions, no matter how you feel. Epictetus taught his students to ask themselves, what kind of person do I want to be? Because once you answer that, you act in alignment with it, regardless of passing emotions. If you decide, I am the kind of person who honors discipline, then even when you're tired, you show up. If you decide, I am the kind of person who values learning, then even when you're bored, you read, you write, you grow. This is how motivation transforms from fragile sparks into steady fire. Instead of waiting to feel motivated, you live motivated, because your actions flow from principles you have chosen deliberately. For example, a Stoic principle could be, I will not waste time on what does not matter. Imagine carrying that into every part of your day. You pick up your phone. Does scrolling aimlessly honor this principle? No, you put it down. You sit to work. Does procrastination honor this principle? No, you begin. The Stoics understood that life is short, and every wasted moment is a moment gone forever. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now." Let that determine what you do and say and think. That is not meant to scare you, it is meant to awaken you. When you hold principles like this close to your heart, motivation is no longer a question of feeling. It becomes a way of living. Think about the freedom in this. No longer chained to moods, no longer at the mercy of laziness or fleeting excitement. Instead, you are guided by steady principles, and principles give you a compass. When you wake up, you don't ask, "Do I feel like it today?" You ask, "What would my principles guide me to do?" And then you act. So far, we've seen how controlling what is in your power frees your energy, how embracing discomfort builds your strength, and how living by principles steadies your fire. These 3 lessons alone can transform the way you see motivation. But remember, the Stoics didn't teach in abstract theories, they lived these truths daily. And so must you. Because motivation is not a thought you hold. It's a way you move, act, and build your days. The 4th Stoic lesson that awakens motivation is the art of seeing obstacles as opportunities. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This is one of the most powerful truths ever written. What does it mean? That every obstacle is not the end of the path, it is the path. Think of the last time you faced a challenge that felt unfair or overwhelming. Maybe a project failed, maybe someone betrayed your trust, maybe life gave you circumstances you never asked for. Your first instinct was probably to resist, to ask, "Why me?" But Stoicism flips that question into, "How can this serve me?" Motivation doesn't come from avoiding obstacles, but from reframing them as fuel. A failure? It teaches you resilience. A rejection? It teaches you humility. A setback? It sharpens your strategy. When you adopt this perspective, obstacles no longer drain your energy. They give you energy. You begin to see that life is not happening against you, it's happening for you. Imagine facing a closed door, and instead of sinking into despair, you say, "This is my chance to grow stronger." That mindset creates unstoppable momentum, because nothing can truly block you. Every stone thrown in your path becomes a stepping stone forward. The 5th Stoic lesson is to practice gratitude, not the shallow gratitude of repeating words, but the deep gratitude of seeing life clearly. The Stoics often meditated on death, not as a morbid obsession, but as a way to cherish life. Marcus Aurelius would remind himself every morning that he might not see the evening, and every evening that he might not wake to the morning. To most, this sounds dark. But to a Stoic, it was the ultimate motivation. Why? Because when you realize time is fragile, you stop wasting it. When you remember that nothing is promised, you stop waiting for the perfect day to begin. Gratitude awakens motivation because it clears away the illusion that tomorrow is guaranteed. Suddenly, the ordinary becomes extraordinary. The sunrise is not just light, it is a gift. The people in your life are not just familiar, they are treasures. The chance to work on your dreams is not a burden, it is an opportunity millions wish they had. And when you live in gratitude, motivation flows naturally. You no longer ask, "Do I have to do this today?" You whisper, "I get to do this today." That shift transforms every moment. It fills your spirit with energy that external rewards could never match. Gratitude becomes the soil where motivation grows strong roots. The 6th Stoic lesson is to prepare your mind for adversity before it arrives. Seneca called this premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. The idea was simple. Expect that life will not always go smoothly. Imagine the difficulties before they come, so when they do, you are not surprised, you are ready. Most people lose motivation because they expect the road to be easy. The moment resistance appears, they collapse. But if you've trained your mind to anticipate difficulty, then challenges no longer shock you, they strengthen you. Think of an athlete preparing for a championship. They don't train expecting everything to go perfectly. They train for the pain, the fatigue, the unexpected. So when the real moment arrives, they are calm and steady. You can live the same way. Each morning, you can tell yourself, today, someone may criticize me. Today, something may go wrong. Today, I may feel tired. And when it happens, you smile because you knew it would. Instead of losing your motivation, you become unshakable. This practice doesn't make you pessimistic, it makes you powerful. Because when life shows its teeth, you don't panic. You've already rehearsed this moment in your mind. You're not a victim of surprise. You're a master of preparation. And that mindset, more than anything, ensures your motivation survives storms. Now, before we move on to the next lessons, let's pause here. Because what you're hearing right now can change your life, but only if you act on it. If these Stoic lessons are resonating with you, don't just keep watching silently. Hit the like button to remind yourself that you're committing to this path. Drop a comment sharing which of these lessons has spoken most to you so far, because when you write it down, you carve it deeper into your memory, and you may inspire someone else reading the comments who desperately needs that encouragement. And if you haven't yet, subscribe and join this journey fully, because the wisdom you gain here could be the seed of your next great breakthrough. The Stoics remind us again and again, motivation is not just about hearing ideas. It's about practicing them daily, consistently, until they shape who you are. So take this moment as a chance to commit, because the second half of these lessons will take you even deeper, showing you how to transform motivation into a lifelong force. The seventh Stoic lesson that fuels motivation is the discipline of focusing on the present moment. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself, do not let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same reason you use today. So much of our energy is wasted either worrying about the future or dwelling on the past. Think about it. How many times have you lost motivation because your mind was spinning in what-ifs or replaying regrets? The Stoics knew that the only place you truly live is now. The present moment is your battlefield, your opportunity, your power. When you bring your attention fully into this moment, into the task in front of you, your motivation comes alive, because your energy is no longer divided. Imagine writing without worrying about whether it will be praised or criticized, training without obsessing over future results, working without reliving past mistakes. In that clarity, motivation thrives. The present is not small. It is infinite. Every great achievement, every empire, every masterpiece was built out of moments like this one. When you understand that, the present stops being ordinary, it becomes sacred. And when you honor the present, you awaken the motivation to give your best, here and now. The eighth Stoic lesson is to practice self-mastery. To the Stoics, the greatest victory was not over enemies or circumstances, but over oneself. Epictetus taught that freedom is not doing whatever you want. It is ruling over your impulses and desires. Why does this matter for motivation? Because without self-mastery, your energy is scattered by every distraction. You sit to work, but your phone pulls you away. You plan your goals, but laziness whispers excuses. You want progress, but your impulses keep you chained. Self-mastery is the art of aligning your actions with your higher self, not your lower impulses. It means choosing discipline over indulgence, focus over distraction, purpose over pleasure. And here's the truth. Nothing destroys motivation faster than being a slave to your impulses. Because deep down, every time you give in, you know you betrayed yourself. But every time you master yourself, motivation grows, because you trust yourself again. Picture this. Two people start the same journey. One constantly gives in to distractions. The other steadily trains self-control. After a year, their lives look completely different. One is frustrated and stagnant. The other is strong and advancing. The difference is not talent, it's self-mastery. And the good news? This is not something you are born with. It's something you train, one choice at a time. Every small act of self-control adds bricks to the fortress of your motivation. Ninth Stoic lesson is to align your life with a higher purpose. Motivation fades when life feels meaningless. You can push yourself for a while, but without purpose, the fire eventually dies. The Stoics believed every person is a part of the larger whole, like a limb of a body. To live only for yourself is small, but to live for something greater gives you limitless strength. Think of Marcus Aurelius, an emperor with unimaginable pressure. Why did he keep going when the weight of the world was on his shoulders? Because he wasn't living for his own comfort. He was living for the people, for duty, for the harmony of the whole. Purpose gave him strength when pleasure or fear would have failed. Ask yourself, what is the higher reason behind your efforts? Maybe it's to serve your family, to contribute to society, to inspire others, to live a life that honors the short time you have on this earth. When your motivation is tied to a higher purpose, setbacks cannot shake you, because you're no longer working only for yourself. You're part of something larger. And that gives you an unshakable reason to rise, again and again. The 10th and final Stoic lesson is acceptance of mortality, the remembrance that life is short. Far from being depressing, this truth is the ultimate fuel for motivation. The Stoics called it memento mori, remember that you must die. Why would they remind themselves of this? Because it awakens urgency. It strips away excuses. It forces you to see that tomorrow is not promised, so today is everything. How many dreams die because people think they have time? I'll start when I'm ready. I'll change when it's easier. I'll pursue my passion someday, but someday never comes. The Stoics remind us, life is not waiting for you. The clock is ticking. Each day you waste is a day you will never get back. So let's pause here. We have journeyed through 10 powerful Stoic lessons, controlling what you can, embracing discomfort, living by principles, turning obstacles into opportunities, practicing gratitude, preparing for adversity, focusing on the present, mastering yourself, living with purpose, and remembering mortality. Together, they form a philosophy of action that can ignite your motivation every single day. But remember this, wisdom means nothing if it stays in words. The Stoics didn't write to inspire, they wrote to live. And so must you. Don't just listen, practice. Let each lesson guide your choices today, tomorrow, and for the rest of your life. And so we return to the heart of Stoicism, a philosophy not of abstract theories, but of action, clarity, and strength. We have walked through 10 lessons that, when lived, awaken a motivation deeper than fleeting emotion. These lessons are not about hyping yourself up for a day or two. They are about building a foundation that carries you through the storms and into the life you were meant to live. Think back to where we started. Motivation often feels like a spark that comes and goes. But the Stoics teach us to build a steady flame. By focusing only on what you can control, you protect your energy. By embracing discomfort, you build resilience. By living by principles, you create consistency. By turning obstacles into opportunities, you transform setbacks into progress. By practicing gratitude, you fuel your spirit with abundance. By preparing your mind for adversity, you stand unshaken. By focusing on the present, you harness your true power. By mastering yourself, you rise above distraction. By living with purpose, you find limitless drive. And by remembering mortality, you awaken urgency to live fully today. This is not just wisdom to admire. This is wisdom to practice. Every moment you delay, you fall back into old habits. Every excuse you give yourself is time stolen from your future self. The Stoics did not wait for perfect conditions, and neither should you. Your life is happening now. Imagine yourself a year from today. You look back and realize you lived these 10 lessons not perfectly, but steadily. You took action even when you didn't feel like it. You leaned into discomfort instead of running from it. You turned obstacles into growth. You honored your principles. You cherished the present. You lived with urgency. How different would your life be? Stronger? Clearer? More purposeful? That vision is not far away. It begins with one step, today. Now. Here's the truth. You don't need motivation that vanishes in hours. You need motivation that becomes who you are. That is what Stoicism offers. Not hype, not noise, but a way of living that makes you unshakable, resilient, and deeply alive. So if you're ready to take this seriously, don't just leave this as another video you watched. Subscribe to this channel right now. Commit yourself to this journey of growth, discipline, and clarity. Every week, you'll receive more tools to sharpen your mind and strengthen your spirit. But none of it matters if you don't take action. Share this video with someone who needs it. You never know whose life you might touch by passing forward a spark of wisdom. And most importantly, write down in the comments, which of these 10 Stoic lessons will you start practicing today? Not tomorrow, not someday, today. Because the moment you put it into words, you make it real. Remember, life is short. You could leave this world tomorrow. Let that truth ignite you, not depress you. Live in such a way that if today were your last, you would be proud of how you spent it. That is Stoic motivation, the courage to live fully, here and now. So rise. Take the first step. Live the lessons. And let your life be the proof that ancient wisdom still has the power to transform us today.